Hey everybody, today Rahdo runs down a prototype of Imagineers, which is a Moncala-style game where 2 to 5 players are trying to build the best rides for a theme park and make sure the guests visit their rides and stay away from their opponent's rides. And the way it works is, on your turn, you are first going to take one of the 2 tiles in your hand and use it to do a build action. You can build a new attraction somewhere out into one of these empty spaces in the park, or instead you can flip it over and use it to upgrade your massive roller coaster attraction. And the more you do that, the more points you effectively make, because at the end of the game, if I haven't upgraded my roller coaster at all, I lose -4 plus -3 plus -2 plus -1. That's a total of 10 points I lose if I don't upgrade my roller coaster. So do I use these to make my roller coaster a bit better and avoid those negatives, or do I build out somewhere in the world? Well, one of the ways I'm going to make that decision is by paying attention to the current event. At the beginning of every round, there is a new event, and this time it's double money, everybody. My attractions, if I get them activated on my turn, will score twice as much cash as normal. Now, also, along with the event, there's always a movement restriction. This time, we have to move groups that have at least 1 red guest. Red guests are thrill seekers. They like roller coasters, i.e. they like going to red spaces on the board. So we have to move a roller coaster group. Right, so I know these are restrictions and I gotta build. Now, the cost to build is always up here in the top left. And since these are 2-sided, one side plus the cost of the other side always equals 7. So it's 3 on one, 4 on the other. If this were 2, the other side would be 5. And I start with $4. So I could build these for 3 and put them somewhere in the park. But remember, I only get to build 1. And what I want to do is I want to build in such a way that I can maximize the impact of these guys, especially because I want to take advantage of the double money. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flip one of these over and build it onto my own private roller coaster, which, by the way, the entrance for it is right here on the board. As part of setup, everybody puts the entrance to their coaster someplace. I'm the green player, so this is my entrance. Jen's the purple player. This is her entrance to her coaster. So I'm going to upgrade my coaster. I'm going to use this one, which costs $4. I am now broke. And I can cover any of these spaces. I'll cover the -4. So that's effectively 4 points I made. Now instead, if I had built this somewhere out in the park, it would score me 2 points at the end of the game. So effectively, I turned a 2-point tile into a 4-point tile by using it to upgrade over there. Okay. So I'm done. I spent and I built. That is the first thing you do every turn. You either build out on the board or you build on your own roller coaster. Or instead of building, you can discard a tile, which is a bad thing to do. Generally, if at all possible, you want to be building. But if you're out of cash, you can discard a tile instead of building to get $5. Or you can discard a tile to start manipulating the position of the guests on the board, either to help you or hurt your opponents. Now, I didn't do that. Instead, I built. Now, the next thing you do on your turn is you pick a group of guests from anywhere on the table, and you move them clockwise around the board, having them stop at attractions, which has the potential to score points and money. So I can pick any group, but remember, there's a restriction. I has to be at least 1 red. So I couldn't use these 2 water ride lovers. Or, let's see, or here's a water ride and a family ride fan. Well, I wouldn't be able to make this group move. This is the group I want to make move, though. So I pick them up, and like a Moncala, I move them clockwise around the board, dropping one of these meeples off subsequently into each available space until I run out of them. So they started here on this little trail just outside of this incomplete ride. I'm going to put the yellow guy here, and then continuing clockwise, I'll put the red guy there. Yeah, baby, that is perfect. Because since I got a red guy on my red roller coaster is going to score. If I'd done the other way, well, this is a neutral space, so anybody will do whatever this ride is. But if I put a yellow guy here, I would miss out on the chance to use my new upgraded roller coaster. So I put him here, and now they ride the rides. This guy on this neutral space just makes $2. And unfortunately, since this is not my attraction, the double money doesn't count. So I just made 2 off of that, and then he slides off to stand in line on the next ride. But now, here's the big payday. My ride, at the very minimum, as part of setup, scores $2 and 1 happiness. The person has 1 happiness for riding. Oops, and all right, there we go. But If you upgrade, you look over here and it's a little bit different. It's the $2 plus the 1 happiness plus another happiness, a fame, and 2 more bucks because of this huge upgrade. And the interesting thing is, for all of these rides, there is the income for the owner of the ride and the income for whoever activated the ride, which means Jen, on her turn, my opponent, might send somebody to my ride, thereby giving me a reward, but so that she can get her own reward. And that's one of the big interesting elements of this game, the interaction between players, in that sometimes it's in everybody's best interest to make a particular move. So anyway, the nicest thing is when you put people on your own rides, because then you get the ownership and the activation bonus. So I'm going to get all of it, and the money is going to be doubled. So it's 2 money, but it's really 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, because of the double money. There is 1 fame, and fame is victory points. We started here at 0. I've just moved up to 1. I've got 1 victory point, and I get 1, 2, 3 happiness. And I start out here, it's 3 happiness, and I go 1, 2, 3. And boom, I just crossed the threshold to get a 2nd point. So, every 5 happiness that you generate for your park guests gets you 1 fame. I scored a fame because of my awesome upgraded roller coaster, and that was very profitable. I'm even richer than how I started out. Nice. And now the last thing you do is you draw a new tile, because you should always have 2 tiles in your hand at the beginning of your turn. There's a face down and a face up tile. I could get this water ride, which I know costs $3 to build and generates money and generates happiness, or I could draw blind, and I don't know exactly what's on the other side other than the fact that it costs 4. Now, if at all possible, because this is a very tactical game, you want to have a lot of variety, I think I'll take the face-up blue. So next round, I've got a red and a blue tile. It gives me a bit more flexibility. If I drew down and I drew a 2nd red, that I would have less flexibility. That could be a problem. So anyway, I am done. That was my turn. Very successful. Let's see what Jen might do. Well, you might think, hey, Jen wants to upgrade her roller coaster as well, so she can get rid of the -4 and then activate her coaster and get a lot of bonuses. But the 2 tiles Jen's got in her hand both cost 5. Jen cannot afford to build either of these upgrades, so she's going to have to build on the other side. Either a yellow tile, these are like family tiles, like this little bouncy castle, or a blue tile like this water slide. So Jen's going to build one of these, or remember, she could just discard one to make some money or move meeples around so you have better control over activating stuff. Jen's going to build this little bouncy castle, and she will build it right here. It costs her $2, right? And so she is done building. Now, this is going to score her 1 victory point at the end of the game. If she could have used this as an upgrade to get rid of the -4, that would be much better. But hey, it's still 1 point at the end of the game for fame. We mark this, by the way, so everybody knows it's her roller coaster. And now, like me, Jen has to pick any 2 meeples anywhere on the board. Oh, whoops, I forgot. After this guy rode, he slid down here, and now you've got 3 guests waiting in line. So if Jen wants, because there's red, she could pick up all 3 of these and drop off 1, 2, 3. But that would not do her very good. She wants to activate her rides over here. These are just neutral rides where nothing's going to happen. So I think there's going to be some people building up, waiting, because nobody wants to activate these until there's some stuff built in this area. Jen is going to grab this little group. Oh, whoops. Right. No, actually, and I'm sorry, Jen meant to build here. Instead of here, she built here. It's the same no matter where you build. So now Jen's going to grab this group, and hey, it's a yellow, which means family ride and a roller coaster ride. She'll drop the yellow on the yellow to trigger this, and she'll drop, moving along the road, the red on the red to build that. And by the way, the board is scalable. You take these tiles off, and there's more places to build at different player counts and all that. Anyway, so Jen gets to activate both of these because, again, the colors match. That's why she built here, because she knew she was going to move this scrap. That's a big part of the strategy. Building the Mancala as you go, and then leveraging it to your best ability. So Jen gets double money. This thing gets 2, but instead it's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 3 happiness. 1, 2, 3. Jen just got some fame. And then this person is done, slides on down, waiting to get into her coaster. But if this guy goes here, it won't do any good. Now this one is going to slide on down because Jen activates her coaster, which gives her 2, which is really 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1 more happiness. Okay. And now we've got a queue of people over here, 1 person queued over there, and so on. And now at the end of Jen's turn, she draws either blind, she'll take a yellow, and the first round is over. At the end of the round, we pass the first player marker based on whoever's last in points and fame. So that'll be Jen, so she'll be first next round. And next round, we find out what the new event and movement restrictions are. Now, we have to move a guest with exactly 2 but any color. So that means if this were a turn where, there'd been a big group building up and you wanted to grab all 3 or all 4 of them, because groups can get up to 4, so you can move a lot and activate a lot, this turn we can't. And by the same token, you can't move a little single person by themselves either. You have to move exactly 2. So this is off limits, off limits, off limits. So that could really restrict how you're going to move. Alrighty, and what's our new event? It's a meet and greet, which is maybe nice because at the start of your turn, swap all guests with 1 non-empty space with all guests from a different. So that's really interesting. In fact, that's kind of perfect, I think. Jen, what Jen would like to do is, if there's something here, she wants to have some more people here so she could do another 1-2 activation of her 2 things. But there's nobody over here, so she can't swap anybody in. But she could swap this single with, say, is there a red and a blue, or a red and a yellow? Let's see here. Here's a red and blue. She's gonna, right, so it's the beginning of her turn. Does a meet and greet, which means she swaps these. All right, and now she moves on. She's gonna want to build, because she's got plenty of money, 1-2, this water park right here. Okay. And so that was her build. She still hasn't upgraded her right, but hey, she just made 3 points. So that's not bad. Now she has to pick a group. She'll use this new group she just created to put a red. And then this guy will cut ahead to the front of the line to a blue, and boom, Jen gets to score both of these. These are both hers. That was an excellent use of the meet and greet. And so there's no doublers, but now Jen gets 2 more bucks and 1 more happiness, and Jen gets 1 more buck, but oh no, she's already full up. There's no more money to be had, and 1 more happiness. Okay, and then these people slide on, and now interestingly, this is the maximum queue. If Jen activated this, this attraction again, this person, when they slide out, they wouldn't want to stand in line, they would jump over into the next row. So there's a lot of interesting stuff when it comes to the control of the flow of people. And so that was Jen's turn. She activated both of hers again. And now at the end of her turn, she could draw and have 2 yellows. She'd rather have more flexibility to know what's coming, so she'll draw, and she got 2 yellows anyway. So this is a really nice, it's going to cost her 5 to upgrade, but it turns a 1-pointer into a 4-pointer so that Jen could start upgrading her roller coasters, etc., etc. And now it's over to me, my turn. And since Jen didn't score any points this round, she's going to hold on to first player going into the next round. But in the meantime, I've got to figure out what do I want to do with these. Remember, I cannot move these groups of 3 or 4 or groups of 1. I have to move a group of 2. And so I can't move anybody into my coaster over here. But remember, I can do the meet and greet. So I could swap. Here and here. And now, if I build this guy right here, which costs me 1, 2, 3, nice, then I'll grab this group of 2, because it has to be exactly 2, and I'll activate my coaster, and this other coaster, which is mine as well. And so I'll get the payout from both of them, and then everybody will slide up, waiting for the next ride, and then at the end of my turn, I'll end up creating, and we'll go on to the 3rd round, where we'll have a new event. Clever marketing, where I can convert money into fame or vice versa, and a movement. We have to move groups of exactly 3, which could be tricky because, hey, right now, nowhere on the board is there any group of 3. So coming into this round, even though I might want to build a tile, chances are, because there are no groups of 3, I'm going to have to jettison one of these to use to move. I might jettison to move this person away, to move them over someplace else, so that then I've got a group of 3, so I can activate 3, as an example. So the events are constantly throwing you for a loop, making you really have to rethink your strategy every single round. And of course, the fact that the distribution of the guest is constantly changing and ebbing and flowing makes Imagineers a very cool and very clever take on Mancala. It's a Mancala where you and everybody else builds it over the course of the game and tries to mold it to their will to get maximum effect. Now, Imagineers is a very cool, fun game. Like I said, this is a prototype. You can go check out the Kickstarter page to see what it really looks like. One thing I will say is, as a 2-player game, it's good, but it's going to be so much better with more because the board is going to fill up faster, and you're going to find yourself much more often in a situation where it behooves you to activate somebody else's roller coaster so that both of you benefit because neither of you are in first place. In a 2-player game, the semi-cooperative nature just goes right out the window because it's very zero-sum. Why would I ever activate your roller coaster? Because you'll get more than me. But in a 3 or 4 player game or a 5 player game, we're both behind. Hey, let's activate both of us so we both catch up. That's when you're going to see a lot of really fun collusion as the board fills up and you have more reasons to work with your opponents. In a 2-player game, it's still good because Mancala is fun. There's a reason the Mancala has literally been around for thousands of years. It's one of the oldest known gameplay mechanics, and Imagineers reimagines it to something very, very cool. But it's going to be better at higher player counts, and that is the rundown, folks. Thanks very much for watching. Have a very nice day. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.